Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. And yeah, like I said, I was going to take a bit of a break here. We had some family down from New Zealand, in South Africa, obviously talking copious amounts of rugby and everything. I did manage to though catch the two games of the Stormers from last weekend and the weekend before that. And yeah, also caught a bit of the highlights of the game for the junior Springboks playing off against in Nelson Mandela Bay against the junior New Zealand team or All Blacks. And yeah, want to spend a little bit of time talking about that, but without any further ado, let's get into it. Right, so this is not going to be a very long, winded kind of video, and I didn't actually script anything for this. I usually kind of like to keep my bullet point, uh, well, talking points on hand. But yeah, speaking of the URC uh, top 8 playoffs, at this point, it has been very exciting. I mean, a lot of the teams have been pulling out all the stops. We've seen major improvements on the side of the Scarlets. We've seen major improvements by Benetton beating the Lions absolutely, convincingly a couple of weekends ago, just to really find themselves on the shortest end of the stick against the Stormers 2 weekends ago. Um, Not the performance they were looking for, but the Stormers were actually. I think the getting into the quarterfinals for these boys are actually quite important. Sasha van Kumazulu has been on form. First off, in the Irish, not a better game really all over. But like I said, Coach John Dobson didn't quite like the defensive play of the Stormers on the day. Felt that they can do a lot better, and you know what? They went back to the drawing board and they improved themselves. Their defensive play has been on point. And then combining that with a major, strong attack line for them, it's just absolutely fantastic. Ivan Ruiz has been really performing well. So also Sasha Fama-Komazulu. Similana is also doing absolutely fantastically well. But then again, all the players kind of working for once together in an absolute unison team was just something fantastic to behold. Really warmed the cockles of my heart. Sasha Fama-Komazulu in the number 10 jersey have been absolutely fabulous. He's sitting on I think a 95 or 97 success rate. I mean, this kid is just, he's nailing every single one, from drop goals to penalty goals to conversions. Um, it's actually hard for me to find really the kind of perfect words to kind of describe this, but it was fantastic to behold. An absolute pleasure to watch the Stormers perform in these last 3 games. They tightened their defensive structure. Benetton hardly had a chance to get through. I think they scored about two tries. They ended up the first half, I think, with 3 tries by the Stormers. 3 converted tries by the Stormers. We saw a drop goal by Sasha Fama-Komazulu around about the 13th minute. And he's just been raking it in. I mean, this kid is just, he's really, in a strong contender for the top scorer in the URC for the Stormers. Sunday also opening his URC scoreboard challenge with a fantastic first try against Benetton. And it's just wonderful to see sort of a tight head prop scoring for once in the game. You don't see many of those happening. And then for him, to make his debut try in the URC at this late stage of the game, I think was just, a feather in his cap. Like I said, Egon Ruiz has also really been playing strong, making those carries. In last weekend's game, I think it was about 8 meters made, 13 carries in total. No, sorry, 8 carries in total, 32 meters made, and then 6 tackles. So he's really played a really hard game, a really tough game, showing up his aggression the whole time and his absolute brute strength that really counts in his favor. Of course, quite conspicuously, we do miss the presence of Newton Fouchier. Still off on the red card, unfortunately, which I don't, like I've said before, I don't really think if that was quite fair. But the team has been going from strength to strength, everybody pulling their weight in equal measure. Siabelo Sanatla has been absolutely getting back into the swing of things, performing fantastically, scoring I think 2 tries in this last match against the Gwen Dragons. And yeah, it's just, again, take nothing away from Benetton. They made a gallant counter offensive in the second half, scoring I think 2 tries, but couldn't really push past that. The score was like 56-12 or something, like 56-13. Actually, no, 58-5. So they scored 1 unconverted try in the second half. I do apologize. That was, bit of a misremembrance by me there. Only scoring 1 try in the second half. They did, kind of fight back gallantly. The kind of ball bouncing off the high balls wasn't quite in their favor. Also, ball handling wasn't exactly with them. I think they had a bit of a butterfinger problem in that entire match. Coming then to the Stormers vs Dragons from last weekend, they also, Sasha was on fire, converting drop goals, and with him, we're actually seeing a lot more drop goals happening within professional rugby games, and I love it. Absolutely love it. Taking you right back to the days of Nas Botha in the Springbok jersey, just sailing, and even in the Northern Transvaal jersey at that time, still just sailing those drop goals through the poles. And drop goals has been quite essential since the beginning of rugby. We saw the 1995 World Cup being won on a nail-biting margin by a drop goal. I'm not quite sure. I'm trying to remember now who actually, and maybe somebody can help me out in the comments, guys, because the name completely eludes me for the moment. I want to say Trenech, but it wasn't him, no. But yeah, the drop goal, the frequency of drop goals we've actually been seeing within this last season, especially of the URC, has been more frequently, and I do love that. It allows for more tactical play, more sort of pushing the ball forward, getting into range, dropping it back to the fly half or full back, and then just sailing that ball over the between the posts. It just absolutely makes for really exciting rugby and just get the crowd going. Everybody was on their feet as soon as Sasha sort of hit that drop goal. I think he made his second drop goal attempt but missed. And only missing 1 conversion as far as I can remember in this last game. So it was all round still scoring the points for the boys there in blue. Dragons did put up a bit more of a fight than Benetton, successfully keeping the try scoring for the Stormers only to 3, I think, within the first half, where Benetton already conceded the bonus point to the Stormers in the first half. Sunday, unfortunately, against Benetton, going off just with a yellow card just before the second half. So he spent most, sort of the start of the second half on the bit, in the sin bin, and eventually he wasn't even brought back on. He was replaced by Brock Harris. No, he did actually come back on. I do apologize. He did come back on, but only after a knee injury was suffered by Brock Harris, quite sort of middle to late second half. I'm not quite sure what happened. It was kind of very fast, but within a loose maul, the guys kind of fumbled all over each other, and then he twisted his knee pretty badly as he went down, but still walking off, not really suffering any major lasting effects. There was a Benetton player that went off on the stretch, and I really do hope, for him and his team and his family, that there's nothing really major wrong with him. But we hope for the best and all of that. So yeah, it was an exciting game. Brutality, physicality, tactical plays all round. It was just, from these last 3 weeks, it was just absolutely fantastic, and a wonder to behold the Stormers playing, really making improvements, and even by the Sharks, beating Ulster, wonder above wonder. They were expected to bring their A game, and they did. Absolutely wonderful to see them majorly improving on their tactical plays, and how they carry themselves. They're strengthening the defensive playoffs as well. I don't think they won by such a large margin that the Stormers did against Benetton, but yeah, they honestly make some major improvements. Stormers as well improve their defensive play, absolutely fantastic. Which kind of brings me back now to the Junior Springboks playing off this weekend against the Junior All Blacks in the Under-20 international finals this weekend. Unfortunately, coming in short, and basically because I believe they were really struggling on the defensive stance. They were too easily sucked in by the attacking players, breaking lines constantly. The defensive lines was kind of messed up to begin with. They were too bundled together. It wasn't kind of more evenly spread out, forming more of an impenetrable barrier. Then also players breaking rank to try and pursue the attacking players. So they just get sucked in, the ball gets offloaded, and then just, eventually there's not enough players on the flanks to kind of buffer any kind of wide play. So yeah, really well played by the All Blacks. I think his name is Simu, basically scoring a hat-trick in his first final, I believe, in international finals for the Under-20 All Blacks team. And but the attacking play by the Junior Springboks was fantastic to behold. I mean, there was a lot of strategic and tactical ball handling, offloading, going wide, coming in, interception. There was actually an interception ball that was, scrutinized by the TMO. I can't remember the player's name, but I would like to actually keep an eye on him, because he really looked like he played absolutely fantastic tactical rugby, and might be, these kids are the next generation of up-and-coming names in, first of all, it's club rugby, and then obviously international, contenders for the Springboks, or the heavyweight Springboks. So, that really well tactical plays by these boys. Defense needs work, absolutely. Came very close, only lost by 3 points, which is also kind of a feather in their cap, so they'll be taking home a bonus point. if that rule applies to the under 20 teams as well. But I think they can be proud of themselves in the way they performed. The defense, like I said many a times now, it needs work. It really needs focus. They need to go and back to the drawing board, rework the strategies and tactics there. But absolutely played very well in their attack form. So I don't think much need to change there. Just looking a bit at the defensive, and also look a bit at the tactical kicking. There was no drop goal attempts. Went for very few penalty goals. But they were kind of on point with I think they only missing one conversion kick. So really much on point with these boys. And I can honestly, again, bringing it back, there was an incident also where almost at the very kind of last 10 minutes or so, it was an upright tackle by... I'm not quite sure who it was, by a junior All Black player. Upright tackle. The obviously the junior Springbok player came in with a bit of a force. Head contact to the shoulder of the All Black player, and was issued a yellow card. A red card. Now, bringing that back again, correlating that to the tackle on Jesse Creel from Sam Cane, getting a red card. Now, we're looking at several other games that also happened recently. But more recently than that, within the URC, where these kind of tackles were then, given a yellow card. It is a high degree of danger. These players need to dip. And just like the announcer basically reiterated, it is always advised that when you commit into a tackle, you commit for the midriff or the legs. It's the easiest way to take your player down, especially when you go for the legs. Our coach always used to say, go for the knees, go for the ankles. You unbalance the player immediately. Doesn't matter how big he is. And the junior All Blacks tight head prop was a big guy. I mean, if you've watched the game, it was like a Goliath. The man towered out over almost everyone on the field. But you take him around the knees, you take him around the ankles, he is going to go down. That's no two ways about it. But upright tackles is dangerous. We've seen many players having to go off for head injury assessment tests as a result of that, and we've seen so many players going off, not coming back from the HIA as a result. So it really needs to be something that the organizers and the senior staff within rugby needs to look at this. And referees, the consistency, again, not there. You have now, in this kind of, International World Cup Under-20s finals, a red card being issued for an upright tackle. It is a high degree of danger. He meets the attacking player or the ball carrier, with head against the shoulder. We saw that happening now this weekend as well, with the player basically having Ivan Ruiz basically hitting just below the chin. Also, upright tackle, didn't dip, not almost an inch. And he gets sent off with a yellow card. 10 minutes later, he's back. So where's the consistency here? Which rule is applying? Which rule is not applying here? Where do they see the mitigating circumstances? Because, I mean, there is no other players committed into the tackle. It's not like both players dipped and tried to dip as far as they could. The player wasn't going already, the ball carrier wasn't already going down from a tackle from another player. So where is the consistency? And that's, I think, the huge problem that I have among referees these days. All in all, they really do a good job, and most of them keep, stick to the rules. They do kind of play, a bit of loose and tight with the interpretation of some rules. But these kind of incidents where you're talking about potential high risk of injury and serious injury, there should be very little leeway given in the interpretation of the rules and the laws of rugby. So also, you don't want to, drown the game in too many rules and too sort of pedantic application of the rules. But in certain instances, I feel, players' safety is important. We need to take that into very high consideration. And yeah, what else can I say about it without laboring the point too much? But so yeah, thank you guys for watching. That's it from me. Just leave me a comment below in the comments field. Like and subscribe if you do love the content that I'm making. It really helps the channel as well, and with the algorithm and all of that. And it helps me out trying to grow the channel, trying to get people interested in the kind of content that I'm making. I really love doing this for you all, and just let me know in the comments field what your thoughts are on the recent games within the URC. You please also give me some tidbits on what your thoughts was on the other games that I didn't see. And yeah, please take care of yourselves and your loved ones. And I hope to see you next week when I deliver the next round of reviews and talking points on the recent games. Thank you very much for watching, guys. Peace out. Hi guys. Okay. Bit of an update before this video goes live. Just received word, some sad news that we said goodbye to one of the greats of rugby in modern days. Used to play for the Western Province just before he was signed for the Stormers. Unfortunately came down with some heart trouble, which kind of derailed his career any further with the Stormers, I believe. He went out for some time, retired from rugby at only the age of 29. Then was cleared again, around about 2008, to start playing for the Bulls. Made it to the Springboks, and then after that also playing for the Blitzbokke between, was it 2011 and 2014. And finally today we sadly had to say goodbye to this great gentleman, or obviously talking about Cornel Hendricks. Yeah, our thoughts go out to his family and friends and loved ones and all of that in this trying time for them. And yeah, rest in peace, rest in peace, my man. And yeah, we're gonna miss you.